This is a quick tutorial to show you how to spot fake Samsung cell phone batteries sold on eBay. Both of these batteries were purchased from the same seller. The first one sent to me was a counterfeit battery. I determined that it was a counterfeit battery and the seller replaced it with a genuine Samsung battery. Now disregard the sort of crinkles in the label. Those came from me pulling the label off to look at the cell inside and the construction of the label, and that's how I determined it's a counterfeit battery. So both batteries, when they come, they look brand new. There's not a wrinkle on them. As a matter of fact, you can't tell them apart from the outside. The only way you can determine it's a counterfeit battery is by pulling the label off. Now on the back side, both batteries have a serial number on them. And on the front, except for the wrinkles and the torn label from me pulling the label back to determine its authenticity, the batteries look identical. Same printing, same color. Tops of the batteries look the same. Bottoms of the batteries look the same. You can notice that the moisture detecting label is a little bit different. This one's larger, larger radius, rounded edges. This one's smaller, just a little bit smaller, and a smaller radius on the corners. In other words, more like a sharp corner rather than a big rounded corner. And this one is the legitimate battery, the genuine battery, and this one is the counterfeit. I'll give you a couple other ways of spotting right here. I don't know if this is the best way to tell whether one's a counterfeit or a genuine battery by the shape of the label. I wouldn't go by that. The way to tell is when you pull the labels back. This has a pewter color on the outside on the label, but the inside looks like aluminum foil. It's very bright aluminum color. It's not the same on the inside as it is on the outside. The outside of the battery label is a kind of pewter, and the inside label is aluminum, bright shiny aluminum. As a matter of fact, when you scratch the label on the outside with a sharp knife or something, you can see the aluminum color. And when you scratch a legitimate battery, and it's the same color all the way through. I don't know if it's the type of aluminum they're using or what the metal is, but when you pull the label back, notice that the inside of the label is a pewter color also, kind of a dark silver, and it's the same color on the inside as it is on the outside. With the fake battery, it's a pewter color on the outside, dull silver, but on the inside it's shiny aluminum. And also you can tell from the quality of the cell. It's made in rough machinery that's probably not maintained very well, and it's a very rough cell on the inside. You notice at the outside of the battery it says made Japan and finished in Korea. This one also says the cell is made in Japan and finished in China. And look at the inside of this one, the legitimate battery, and you can find a very shiny, high quality cell inside that's also stamped inside, actually etched probably with a laser, made in Japan. This one will give no indication of the country of origin on the cell inside. Another way to tell. Okay, there's the pewter on the outside, bright silver label on the inside, aluminum on the inside, a low quality machined cell on the inside. Then what you find inside is this plastic shim, so like a filler material on the inside. It's glued to the cell. Pull it back here. Okay, there's this plastic filler piece. And the reason they do that is to make the cell larger so that it fits properly inside the camera. Not the camera, I'm sorry. Inside the cell phone. When cell phone manufacturers make a cell phone and design a battery for it, they want the largest cell that will fit inside. That's because cell phone manufacturers, they're worried about the reputation of their phone as having adequate talk time and standby time. And the way they can give their phone the maximum amount of time of standby and talk time is to put the largest cell inside the phone. So the last thing they want to do is get a so-so size cell and then fill up the rest of the space with a plastic filler like this. So this is just some generic cell that's available in China, and then to make it fit inside the packaging, to make it the right size, they put this piece of plastic filler in there. And that's what I've found with, I've purchased 2 counterfeit fakes from different sellers, and they both have this plastic filler inside. And you'll find no country of manufacture. Now on one of them I purchased, there was actually some numbers stamped in there. I tried to research them and find out who made the cell, and I couldn't. But at the last part of the numbers on the cell, there was 1500, which gave me the indication that it was a 1500 milliamp hour cell, and that's the capacity of the battery. And this one is labeled 1800 milliamp hours. Well, this one is also, the legitimate cell is labeled 1800 milliamp hours, and you can't get 2 batteries with the same capacity with one of them being actually thinner than the other one. This one is actually the actual cell, the actual battery inside the label and the packaging is actually smaller than the genuine cell. If you look inside the genuine cell, it's pewter, kind of a dark gray, darkish gray color on the outside. Same color on the inside. Not a shiny aluminum inside like this one. Shiny aluminum on the inside, it's counterfeit. Kind of a dull pewter color on the inside, it's genuine. Inside the cell is stamped Made in Japan. When you look at the other side, no plastic filler material. That's because this is a full-size cell inside. It's a genuine battery. So just remember, pull the label back. The outside is kind of a gray pewter color. The inside label is shiny aluminum. It's counterfeit. Poor quality cell inside. A lot of scratches and marks where it's gone through machinery. Counterfeit. A plastic filler inside to make the battery larger and fit properly. It's a counterfeit. I got both these from the same seller, and the first thing they'll do is they'll quibble and say, well, it's made by an authorized Samsung manufacturer. Well, if it was an authorized battery, it wouldn't say Made in Japan and have a just, excuse me, on this one here, it wouldn't say Made in Japan like this one does and have a cheap Chinese inferior quality cell on the inside. And if it was made by a manufacturer that makes Samsung batteries, they wouldn't use a smaller cell and put a plastic filler inside. All these sellers will quibble with you at first, but they know they're selling a counterfeit cell because they can buy these counterfeits for $2 or $3 and sell them for, in the case of my model battery, they can sell it for $12, $13, $14. And what they're hoping is that only a very few people that buy the battery, the counterfeit batteries, will complain about it. And they can afford to send out a replacement legitimate battery, and they send it very quickly because they don't want negative feedback from me for selling counterfeit batteries. Because if they get enough negative feedback and people mentioning that they got counterfeit batteries, people will get suspicious and no longer buy batteries from these people. So it's cheaper for them to replace the battery, and they don't even ask for this old junk battery back. They immediately send a good, genuine cell to replace the cheap, junk, counterfeit battery. So if you buy one of these on eBay, pull the label back. And remember, if it's pewter on the outside, shiny silver aluminum on the inside, and the biggest indicator is if there's a plastic filler of any kind on the battery. Don't let a seller try and tell you that, oh, it's it's some kind of a heat shield, or that's a legitimate battery. That's BS. Legitimate manufacturers and legitimate cell phone companies put the largest battery, largest cell inside the phone that will fit, because they want to advertise the longest talk time and the longest standby time. They don't want to jeopardize that time by using a smaller, thinner, inferior cell and then filling it with a piece of plastic filler to make the battery seem like it's the cell seem like it's larger, and to fit in the packaging properly and to fit in the phone properly. I hope this helps. I have some other videos that I'm going to put up on how to spot counterfeit Nikon camera batteries, and I managed to get a couple of those. And the sellers, the same thing. They'll quibble about them and hem and haw, but eventually they will give you your money back because they don't want the negative feedback. They'd rather sell you a just junk battery that they pay maybe $4, $5, $6 for, and then turn around and sell it for $20, $30, $40. And the few that they have to replace from people spotting them as counterfeits, they'd rather do that than jeopardize their good feedback. Thank you, and I hope this helps.